Hello. Welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, don't do unboxings, but we generally like to talk a lot of bollocks about tabletop gaming in general. And in this video, we're going to be talking about a pandemic-style game. We're going to be talking about Fate of the Fellowship, and in this game, you will be trying to get the Ring of Power to Mordor to chuck it into Mount Doom before you get destroyed, like we haven't done a billion times before. And in doing so, you'll hopefully win the game of Fate of the Fellowship. So in this video, we're going to be giving you a very brief overview of the rules, telling you what we do like, what we don't like. Then we'll come back and we'll tell you whether or not the Fate of the Fellowship is worth your time and bother today and in the future. So remember, if you are new here, please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. We'll see you after this. Bollocks. So, Fate of the Fellowship. How'd you play this game? So, Fate of the Fellowship is a cooperative game designed by Matt Leacock for 1 to 5 players, yeah? This takes place in Middle-earth. It's yet another Lord of the Rings affair, and it borrows heavily from the mechanics that you have probably seen in all of those billions of pandemic-style games that have been released since 2008, was it, I think? So, in this game, you're going to be taking on the role of the usual Lord of the Rings characters, Frodo, Gandalf, Strider, all that shit, yeah? You're going to take 2 character cards, yeah? And you will be trying to cooperatively move the ring from the Shire to Mordor to chuck the ring into Mount Doom before you get fucked up, right? So players are going to take turns in clockwise manner, and there's 3 steps to each turn that you're going to take here. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to do a bunch of actions, then you will draw 2 player cards, and then you're going to draw shadow cards. So it's like the sort of good stuff happens, bad stuff happens thing, right? So the way that taking actions work, you're going to elect one of your characters to do 4 actions, and then the other one is going to do 1. It doesn't matter which of the characters does the 4 actions, as long as it isn't your mum at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night. So the first action you can do is you can travel, right? This is effectively moving. So you can move one of your characters along a pathway, whether it be a battle line, a normal path, or a special path, right? Special paths have a cost you got to pay in resources. You're going to pay that and you'll be able to move on them. And you're going to move along battle paths in either direction, ignoring the arrows, because they're for the nasty little fuckers that are going to take their turn after you, right? Not your mates, yeah, the shadow forces, right? Yeah, I know some of your mates are nefarious bastards, aren't they? So if you are Frodo, there's a little thing you've got to remember. You're going to have to spend one of them green cloak icons, or you're going to have to do a search here, because you might get caught by them nasty little Nazguls. So when you roll a search, you will roll 1 die for each Nazgul in Frodo's region and each shadow troop in Frodo's location. If you roll nothing, then you're going to slip by. If you roll a tree, you're going to be wary, you're going to lose 1 hope, right? If the hope goes down to the bottom of the track, you're fucked. If you roll a tree with like a little outline on it, that means you are exposed. You're going to get your cock out, even though it's probably about that big. But you will ignore this if Frodo's in a haven, yeah? This is one of them yellow outlined locations on the board. And if you roll the big fucking eye, nothing to do with Frodo's cock, that means a recall. If the Nazgul are present, then you are going to move 1 to Mordor. So this is a good way of getting rid of those black figures that could fuck you up. Remember, anytime you want to re-roll a die, you can spend a ring piece to re-roll a die and see what you get. So the next action you can do is you can do a bit of fellowship. Nothing to do with Roman orgies or anything like that. So if you are in the same space as another character, you can give them a card matching the region that you are in, or you can take a card matching the region that you are in. This is like the same sort of thing you used to do in Pandemic, right? If you're Frodo, you can do a special action at Mount Doom by spending 3 ring pieces, and you can attempt to destroy the 1 ring. You have to do like a search roll, but it's going to be fucking hard, so you better make sure you're up to the task, you snivelling little hobbit. Next action you can do is you can prepare. If you're at Haven, you can discard a region card to take a symbol token that matches the symbol on the card, right? You can muster. This is where you're going to be able to get troops to help you and your band of ideologically bereft misfits to get the ring to Mount Doom, right? You can spend 1 purple heart per location to muster a troop of that coloured region, yeah? You can attack. You're going to roll a few dice and you're going to try and beat up some troops, right? You'll roll a battle, and depending on what you get, this is what happens, yeah? If you roll this, you will do a rout. You'll remove 1 shadow troop. If you roll this, you will exchange. You'll remove 1 shadow troop and 1 friendly troop. If you roll this symbol, you will overrun, remove 1 friendly troop. Ignore this result if the battle is rolled in Haven. If you roll this, then if Nazgul present, remove 2 friendly troops. Otherwise, there's no effect, yeah? Remember, like I said, you forgetful lump of shit. You can spend ring pieces to re-roll dice here. And you can remove 1 shadow troop for each cross sword you spend, right? So the next thing you can do is you can capture. If you have a character at a shadow stronghold with at least 1 friendly troop or no shadow troops are present, you can spend 3 cross swords to capture it, yeah? And in doing this, you'll be able to regain 2 hope, because if your hope gets down too low, you're going to get depressed and you're going to cry to your fucking pillow. So that's all the actions you could do. Remember, you could do 4 with one, 1 with the other, and then you'll move on to the next step, which is draw 2 player cards. And guess what you're going to do here? You'll draw the top 2 cards of your player deck, and if the deck runs out of cards, you're going to lose a hope. Don't be a Denlo and let the deck run out. So if your card contains any of the Skies Darkened stuff, then bad shit is going to happen to you. If it's got the Shadow Grows on it, you'll advance the threat rate marker by 1 space on the threat track. If it's got the I See You and the Eye of Sauron is in Frodo's region, you're going to lose 2 hope. And if you've got the Undercover of Darkness, you'll add 3 shadow troops to the location indicated. And if you've got the Danger Intensifiers, you'll shuffle the cards in the discard pile and place them face down on the shadow deck. This is exactly what happens in Pandemic. So if you're familiar with that game, then you should feel nice and comfortable, like sitting in your favourite armchair, in your smoking jacket, watching El Dorado. So once you are done with this, then the Shadow Forces have their little go. You'll draw shadow cards, and there's 2 sections on this, right? If a red flag is showing on the top, you'll resolve the top half, and if a black banner is showing, you'll resolve the bottom half. So this is where troops will move around a map. They'll follow the arrows that we talked about earlier, and then they will have a battle with you. They'll also do reinforcements, more stuff will appear on the map. Once you've done that, you'll keep doing it and doing this until you have fulfilled all the objectives, right? At the beginning of the game, you will draw a few objective cards. One of them is always going to be tossing the ring into Mount Doom. Going to be around 3 other cards that you're going to have to complete, like clearing out enemies from different areas or whatever you want to do, right? So if you manage to complete all 4 objectives, you're going to win. And if the hope track goes down to the bottom, you're going to lose. And if you do that, then you're going to be the winner or loser of Fate of the Fellowship. Right? What do we like about Fate of the Fellowship? So the first thing we like about this is the artwork is done in a really nice style. Yeah, it reminds us of the 1978 animated version, or half of the animated version of Lord of the Rings by Ralph Bakshi. Yeah, they've managed to avoid the cinematic version of Lord of the Rings, and it does have its sort of own identity. It's got a more light-hearted feel to it. You look at another really famous Lord of the Rings game, War of the Ring. It's a bit too morose. There's like a moribund vibe going on in War of the Ring. Yeah, it's a little bit too depressing for my liking, yeah, but this lifts the atmosphere in the room to a, well, semi-ecstatic level. I know, obviously, you're going to be weeping heavily halfway through the game when you start losing that hope, right? Do really enjoy looking at this game, or the cards at least, yeah. The aesthetic presentation is pretty good, right? The second thing that we really like about this is the addition of having the option of choosing which character is going to get the lion's share of the actions, right? Like we said, one of the characters is going to get to do 4 actions, and one of them is going to get to do 1, yeah. So it all depends where you are on a map. You're going to have to sort of plan ahead and think, right, I can get Pippin into this location, set something up with those 4 actions, and then get one of your more powerful characters to come in and mop up later, right? But it still presents you with the challenge of an unbalanced load, right? They could have gone for the easy option of having 2 on one side, 3 on the other, but they haven't. They've swung it heavily in one direction, leaving the other character with a sort of piecemeal role, and that presents a nice challenge in itself. So the final thing that we quite like about this is that there is a huge variety of different characters to experiment with in this game. I mean, there's loads and loads and loads of different ways to play this game. Each character's got its own special ability, and to really dig into this, you're going to have to play it a number of times to see how all of the characters mix and how they play off against each other, because it might be the case that, dependent on how the game pans out, because there's a lot of random elements in this, that if you play with the same characters a second, third time, you're not going to have the same sort of game, right? So some characters may be better for some objectives, and it's up to you to find out who those bastards are, because I ain't going to tell you, are they? Because they're like sketches on a piece of cardboard. Fucking thick, I give up. But don't be like, but Fate of the Fellowship. So first thing we don't like about Fate of the Fellowship, and really bugs me when they do this, yeah, is that the main map is a complete and utter clusterfuck, right? I mean, look at it. It looks like somebody has spunked up all over Spaghetti Junction, right? And this stands in stark contrast to the absolutely outstanding artwork on the character cards, right? It's a complete and utter mess. I mean, I stare at it. It looks like Jackson Pollock himself has been launched off the Empire State Building directly into the pavement below, yeah? It is a fucking travesty. And how this got through the design process, I never know. It's awful. And yeah, it really lets the game down heavily. A bit like Jackson Pollock being chucked off the Empire State Building in my imagination. So second thing that we don't really like about this is that sometimes some turns may leave you struggling to find things that are worthwhile to do, right? Plenty of occasions we played this, you've got 4 actions to spend, and especially towards the end of the game, I was thinking, well, I don't really know what to do. I muster some troops over here, or I'll just move over here and see what happens next turn. The way that these shadow forces work, you can't really plan for when they're going to pull the trigger on you, when they're going to expose themselves, and when they're going to hit hardest the most, yeah? So you might get caught with your pants down quite a bit. This game is really, really challenging, and don't get me wrong, that's a really, really good thing, yeah? But it doesn't seem consistent in its challenge, yeah? Sometimes you'll just be sitting on a Middle-earth beach in your fucking Bermuda shorts, waiting for Gandalf to suck you off, and then Tom Bombadil will come up and cut your dick off. So the final thing that we don't like about this is that they didn't really need to include a cardboard fucking dice tower in here. When I saw that you had to construct it, I was like, mate, I've given up on fucking IKEA flat pack for a reason, yeah? But I did it anyway, and I was ready to toss this into a fucking dumpster fire, yeah? Just putting that in there must have increased the cost of this game by a few quid. They could have just left it out and saved you not only maybe a tenner or whatever it cost to make it, but also a fucking headache putting it together. And the fact is, to get it back into the box, you have to take it apart. This is made of cardboard. Over time, when you're taking it apart, putting it back together, taking it apart, putting it back together, it's going to fucking break, yeah? So do yourself a favour, if you have to, put the thing together and use it as a makeshift dildo. Maybe not on yourself, yeah? Find somebody else who would like to receive it. Using it as a dice tower is pointless, yeah? Just go down to the range, pick up a tiny little photo frame, take the glass out and use that, yeah? Because it will save you a yearly subscription to Nurofen. So to summarise, is Fate of the Fellowship worth your time and bother today and in the future? So we are going to say no. We got Pandemic over there with a couple of the expansions, and that is enough for us. I mean, I was never really enamoured with Lord of the Rings in the first place when I read it back when I was a kid in the early 80s, and my attention was always on low fantasy, you know, like D&D, which dealt with real people rather than these rich bastards, yeah? I do appreciate the artwork in this. The game, aside from the debacle with the map, it does look like the dog's bollocks, but it seems a little bit uneven, yeah? It offers you a multitude of different actions, but on some occasions when you're playing this, those actions are largely meaningless, right? If you add to that the inclusion of more useless fluff that we've seen before in games like Wingspan that seem to be placed in here just to inflate the price to try and squeeze as much money out of your pockets as possible, then Fate of the Fellowship is a largely forgettable offering for me. I'd rather just dig out Pandemic, play that, and let Frodo stumble into Mount Doom in a drunken Caligulan stupor that secretly deep down we all wish that he'd done in the first place. So there you go, that is Fate of the Fellowship. So remember, if you're new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. If you're not new here, go and take a holiday in Cleethorpes, hit the like button and all that YouTube bullshit. See you next time.